Just as there is a present subjunctive, there's also a past subjunctive when we want to use the subjunctive in the past. So first we'll talk about how we form or how we conjugate in the past subjunctive, then we'll talk about how we use it. So the first step is a little interesting because instead of piggybacking or changing the infinitive form, the past subjunctive utilizes the past tense or the preterite, third person plural, to formalize its endings and its conjugation. So we're going a step further. We kind of need to know the preterite conjugations in order to form the past subjunctive conjugations. So hopefully you remember your preterite conjugations. If not, you can brush up on your preterite conjugations in chapter 7 and 8 of the textbook. Let's see some examples here. So what we're going to do to get to the past subjunctive is conjugate all of our verbs in the third person plural of the preterite. So in the case of hablar, we have hablaron, third person plural of the preterite. Tener is tuvieron. And then we remove ron from the ending. So we take off the ron from the end. So we're left here. And then we add the following endings for AR, ER, and IR verbs. All of the verbs, AR, ER, and IR, will add these endings in the past subjunctive. So there's only one set of endings to learn. Ra, ras, ra, ramos, ran. Keep in mind that ra, ramos, is going to have the letter directly before ramos is always going to have an accent mark on it. So here's an example with hablar. Hablara, hablaras, hablara, habláramos. Notice we have that accent mark, so we don't say hablaramos, which sounds strange. Habláramos and hablaran. Here's another one with tener. Tuviera, tuvieras, tuviera, tuviéramos, tuvieron. Take off the ron and put on ra, ras, ra, ramos, ran. Pretty easy. Some countries use an alternative form, and this is kind of fading from vogue. But instead of adding ra, ra, ras, ra, ramos, ran, some countries use se, semos, sen. And not even within countries is it pervasive or universal. There might be a couple people that use this form, but it's definitely much less common. But with some verbs, people seem to use it, like especially with, I don't think I have it in here. Yeah, but with ser and ir, fuese, for some reason it's used a lot with that verb. So here's an example with hablar again. Hablase, hablases, hablase, hablásemos, hablasen. Sounds a little strange. Tuviese, tuvieses, tuviese, tuviésemos, tuviesen. So it's just an alternative subjunctive ending form. So some people use it, but you might hear it in the input, but the majority of the people use the R-type endings. Something that's nice about the preterite tense is that there are, or not the preterite, the past subjunctive tense is that there are no irregulars. All of them follow the rule. Go to the third person plural of the preterite tense, take off the ron and add those endings we gave you at the very beginning. All verbs follow that pattern. However, the third person plural of the preterite tense is riddled with irregulars that if you've forgotten them, you need to go back and study them. So pedir, we have pidieron in the third person plural. Obviously, if we carried that through all the subjunctive, the conjugations in the past subjunctive, we would say pidiera, pidieras, pidiera, pidiéramos, pidieran. Dormir, same way. So these two verbs are preterite stem changing verbs. Remember, just IR verbs will stem change in one letter in the third person plural of the preterite. So here's two examples. Durmieron in the past subjunctive is going to be durmiera, durmieras, durmiera, durmiéramos, durmieran. Influir, some of them add this strange Y, especially UIR ending verbos. So influyeron, that will carry over into the past subjunctive. Influyera, influyeras, influyera. and so on. Saber, supieran, will be supiera, supieras. And I said about ir and ser, fueran, fueran, fuera, fueras, fuera, fuéramos, fueran. And there are many more that are a little strange in the preterite tense, especially the third person plural. So keep in mind, if you can get to the preterite tense in third person plural, the subjunctive conjugation is easy because there are no irregulars. The toughie is getting to the preterite tense in the third person plural. And remember, chapter 7 and 8 you can review that have some tips. Why do we use the past subjunctive? It's used in the exact same way as the subjunctive in the present tense, except the point of reference is in the past. So when there's a verb or verb phrase written in the past tense in the main clause, the subordinate clause is going to use the past subjunctive. Here's some examples. Here's the present subjunctive. Ellos sugieren, they suggest, que vayamos a la fiesta. They suggest that we go to the party. And vayamos is in the subjunctive. And sugieren is in the present tense, so we put vayamos in the present subjunctive. In the past, however, they suggested that we go to the fiesta. They were suggesting, they thought it'd be a good idea that we go, but we didn't go, or whatever. So ellos sugieren que fuéramos a la fiesta. The point of reference or the time frame is in the past. Espero que no tengan problemas con ella. Hope you don't have problems with her. Okay, present. Esperaba que no tuvieran problemas con ella. They were hoping that they wouldn't have problems with her. So they were hoping that their friends wouldn't have problem. Or I'm sorry, esperaba. Yo esperaba. So I was hoping that you wouldn't have problems with her. So this is yo, and then this is ellos. So I was hoping that you wouldn't have problems with her, but obviously you did have problems with her, right? So that's the hope, triggers the subjunctive, but it's written in the past, so we use the past subjunctive in the subordinate clause. Necesitamos un presidente que apoye la causa. We need a president that's going to support our cause. And then here we say we needed a president that would support our cause. We were needing it then, somebody that would support our cause. Okay, so apoyara is going to be in the past subjunctive. So it's used in the exact same way as the subjunctive in the present tense, except that the point of reference is in the past, a past time frame. And in the main clause or the independent clause, the verb phrases or the verbs are written in the past tense in some way, shape, or form. Here we have the preterite past tense and the imperfect past tense. Either one can trigger the past subjunctive in the subordinate clause. Quisiera is an interesting verb. It comes from querer, to want, but it's often used in the past subjunctive kind of willy-nilly in all sorts of different places. But it's used to soften commands or to make requests. And it's used when you want to increase the amount of politeness that you use. So, quisiera que me llames esta noche. I wanted that you call me tonight. Okay, so quisiera. Quisiera hablar con usted. I would like to speak with you. Right? So you throw it in there to make your statements more polite.